Hello and welcome back. I'm here to chat about why starting after 50 can still change everything for you. You are not too late and you have not missed your chance, and you can still make huge progress after 50. You can still gain more energy, have better balance, improved strength, improve your blood sugars, gain more confidence, and also have better independence or regain your independence, which is absolutely critical as you age. Now, some of the most sort of common thoughts or things that people say to me, whether that's when I'm out and about and, they hear about what I do, or actually during consultations, is people saying, I just feel a little bit too old, or maybe I've left it a bit too late, which obviously with, working with who I work with, I've got people ranging from 50 years old right up until, I believe, 84. Now, that's absolutely incredible. So you are not too old and you've not left it too late. And something as well, which absolutely blows my mind, is people saying that they feel too unfit to get started. Whereas, and some people say that they feel that they need to get fit before they actually join a gym or hire a personal trainer, which is ridiculous because that is what we do. We meet you where you're at, and we take you little steps, just baby steps, and we walk and talk you through it. You don't need to be fit to get started. Just we'll meet you where you're at. You don't ever need to worry about that. And also, something that people say to me is they just don't see what the point is now. And I think that is such a powerful message, because actually that's where I need to spend a little bit of time with them on figuring out why they even want to bother, because that's where one of those things where when motivation drops, which it will, because motivation comes and goes and it always disappears, what is their reason why they're doing it? Like, what is the point? What's the bigger picture here? What kind of life are they looking to create moving forward? Why does sticking around, staying fit, staying able and healthy mean anything to them? And that I'll do a separate episode on that. So that'll be like, the reasons why and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's thinking about what is the point now? And these are some things that people often talk about or make comments on when they, when they first walk through the door or during the consultation. And it's easy to sit and give yourself these reasons as to not even get started in the first place and to have these belief systems. Whereas for someone like me and, my current members, they obviously know that these beliefs or these reasons are far from the truth. They're wrong. You're not too old and you're not too late. You can start at any time, because like I said before, that, me and, the trainers and everybody else in the gym, we'll meet you where you're at. And the great thing is that you're walking into a facility where everyone has been where you're at that starting point. Now, here's what actually matters, or what I believe actually matters. And the first thing is small steps over extremes. Now, I used to say when I was a private one-to-one coach, I always used to ask my guys, like, what is just one thing that you can change over the next 4 weeks, or just over the next, 3 months, or whatever time frame we're setting, rather than going to the extremes. Like, I love New Year's resolutions, and I do, but I do find that it is very all or nothing, and this is where people fall short. Whereas if you're just doing small steps over a longer period of time, you're more likely to succeed rather than fail. Now, what that might look like, or what does that look like? That could be, let's take a week. If you're currently a person who does not do any exercise whatsoever, basically sits in front of the TV, barely does any walking, drives everywhere, your first small step could be simply walking to do your food shop. So take a little day sack with you and a couple of shopping bags, and you could do your food shop over, rather than thinking about joining a gym straight away. But maybe that could be a small step for you. If you're thinking, actually, no, I do want to join a gym, rather than going in all in on like these HIIT classes, 4 or 5 times a week, just start with one class a week. And it could just be a gentle 30 to 40 minute class. That could be a small step over an extreme. When we look at it from a nutritional lens, rather than changing and making your, doing a full week of food planning and prepping, why don't you just start with one meal a day where you make a small swap or a small change? Now, one of the most easiest, most common, and probably popular is simply changing your white breads and pasta and stuff like that to brown. Now, some people just, you'll get your health professionals and your doctors will just say, oh, it's because it's healthier. Whereas actually, when you make that small change, you're looking at how the energy is released. So obviously eating whites, it's fast released energy. So it's energy quickly spent. Whereas when you switch to browns, it's slow release energy. So you've got more energy for a longer period of time throughout the day. But then you're looking at your gut as well, the gut health, in terms of white versus brown. Plus, moreover, blood sugars, especially for those of you who are pre-diabetic, diabetic, or on medication, when you swap, or you will have already been told about this, when you swap white for browns, if you eat white breads and pasta, you have a higher sugar spike versus your browns. So it's, your blood sugars are a little bit more stable. So that could just be a small swap over changing absolutely every meal to a perfect meal. So just starting with one meal a day for 4 weeks. And if that's an easy swap, and, give yourself a little bit of grace. If it comes to the weekend and you kind of press the fuck it button, pardon my French, you can enjoy your day off if it's your birthday or there's a special occasion, like chill out. Just small steps over the extremes. And then the key point here, and the next thing that actually matters, is consistency over intensity. So rather than going all in, which again, I think New Year's resolutions, it's very intense, why not just do these small steps over like a 4-week period rather than doing, a massive extreme over 2 weeks and then giving up? Do you know what I mean? So being consistent, can you consistently take yourself to a class once a week? Or can you go for a walk, a 15-20 minute walk around the block or to the shops to do your food shopping once a week, once a day, however often it is, and just change one meal, change your whites to brown, or opt for, a different type of vegetable instead of chips. Do you know what I mean? It's just these small steps and these little bits of consistency. How can you be 1% better each day or each week? Because now you're setting yourself up for success rather than setting yourself up to fail. Strength, gaining a little bit of strength and a little bit of movement will improve the quality of life very, very fast without you even realizing it. And then one day you just go, I feel good. I feel good. So yeah. Now, with all this in mind, just keep in mind that the goal is not perfection, but it's momentum. Now, let me see if I can say this right now. What I used to remind people of is that people think you needed to have motivation in order to have action in order to get results. Now, that's kind of the wrong way around. Even when you don't feel like it, you need to take action, which will then create some sort of a result over whatever period of time, and that will then give you the motivation and the momentum to carry on. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, how does all of that look to you or how does winning look to you will be personal to each and every single one of you. So what does winning look like after 50? Now, so for some of you, yes, it might be that weight loss. It might be that fat loss. It might be that transformation. But like I've said previously, or like I always say, I'm not this big fat loss transformation coach because I'm just not. What winning looks like to my members and the wins that they have shared with me and with each other is things like being able to walk up and down the stairs without holding onto the handrail or leaning on their own legs to push themselves up, getting up and down off the curb. And up and down, your shop steps. Some of them bad boys can be pretty steep, especially in these local villages here, the old towns and old villages. So walking up stairs a lot easier, being less stiff, feeling more confident, especially with the types of clothing you're wearing, and just being out and about and being seen in public. It sounds really silly, but when you're in the hurt locker, and especially the mental hurt locker, and you're feeling really down and in the dumps about yourself, as soon as you start doing these small changes, you just feel, it's almost like this self-confidence. And I'm not like this whole, I'm not going to chirp on about, self-empowerment and all this, but you almost gain this self-efficacy, this belief in yourself, and it shows it. You become more confident with your conversations and with how you hold yourself. Your shoulders will be back, your chest will be out, and you'll smile more, and you'll actually want to talk to people. All of a sudden, your social life will improve because you will feel more confident, which might sound silly because you probably start thinking, what on earth are you on about? But I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen firsthand. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, more, what does winning look like to you guys? So that's, walking up the stairs, less stiff, more confidence, getting up off the floor, getting up and down, especially for those of you. And I found this during COVID when people were tripping and they had nobody to help them up. So one of the things I help people do is get up and down off the floor. Things like carrying your shopping, that could be a huge win. And when you're doing your gardening and you need to go to B&Q or wherever it is and you buy your big bags of compost, those bad boys, those sacks are heavy, 25 kilos. And I actually had a client called Linda, and she's still a client, and she sent me a picture of the back of her, she has a big Discovery vehicle, and she had this boot full of bags of compost and whatever else there was. And these are like 25 kilo sacks. And she turned around and she was like, Sam, I carried this by myself and loaded up the cart and unloaded it in her garden at the other end, which is absolutely amazing because once upon a time, before she came to me, she wouldn't have been able to do that. So that is winning. Playing with the grandkids, whether that's a game of football or just keeping up with them, and just feeling a bit more like yourself again. I think we get tied up in being mum, dad, parent, grandparent, whatever that is, whatever your job is or whatever your job was, we get tied up in these identities. So, when you start improving yourself and working on yourself, you feel a bit more like you again. And I actually do hear that a lot. Now, just remember, I'll finish it here. I'll stop whittering it on. I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a reminder that, it's not too late and, you're not behind. You're not too unfit to start. We will meet you where you're at, and that winning will look different to each of you. Just remember that you're not behind, and that this actually could be a really nice beginning for you. So whatever that looks like to you, whether that's just doing a small swap nutritionally, whether that's just booking or, joining a class with a friend or walking to the shops, whatever that win looks like to you, going to bed 30 minutes earlier, stop watching TV as much, whatever that is, it could be a really nice beginning for you. And I just want to invite you to stop asking yourself the question of, well, can I? And maybe start asking yourself the question, what is one thing I can do this week? Just one small swap, one small change. Doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be this huge declaration to your family, your friends, the world, to social media. I mean, it can if you want that sense of accountability, but it doesn't have to be this huge declaration. Just for yourself, what is this one small thing that I can do, that you can do this week? What is just one small thing that you can do this week?